It's March and today we're gonna find your core. No equipment needed, so let's go. All right, killer bees, we are gonna get moving and grooving, but first, let me fulfill that promise to you. Let's find your core. If there's no real mystery here, it's actually easier than you think. Stand nice and relaxed, just normal, and then stand up straight. You just found your core. Pay attention to what this feels like right now. Standing up straight is your core. Let's go ahead and get moving with some arm circles and high knees. You guys, welcome to the workout. I'm Paula B. I'm your best middle-aged fitness friend. And around here, we are all about making peace with your menopausal body by finding a healthy weight and moving in ways that feel like self-love. And you guys, finding your core is the most loving thing that you can do for your body, for your workouts, for your health, for your risk of injury, for your ability to stay on your feet and stay independent for the rest of your life. Finding your core might be the thing that changes your life. And here's the thing, it's super easy. Did you notice? Did you notice that when you weren't freaking out about squeezing or pulling in your abs or trying to bring your belly button to your spine and being unable to breathe, that it was actually pretty easy to just stand up straight and tall? That, my friends, uses all of your core muscles. Now, I know that when we are exercising, I tell you very frequently, pull in your core, you need to pull in your core, brace your core, squeeze your abs, all of those kinds of cueing. When we are lifting moderately heavy things or moving quickly, there's a little bit more to it than simply when you're standing still. But you are essentially doing the exact same thing all the time when you are bracing your core or engaging your core or pulling in your core or however you want to talk about it. Today, let's go ahead and do some arm crossers with booty kickers. Today is going to be one of the slowest moving workouts that we have ever done together outside of like stretching movements. But here is why this is one of the best things that you can possibly do for your fitness. When you find your core and learn how to feel that standing up straight, that brace, doing slow movements, you'll be able to work on being able to do them with fast movements, with heavy movements, with, for lack of a better way of putting it, real exercise. And let me assure you that today is real exercise, but it is a little bit different kind of exercise than we've done before. It's a lot more for your brain and your body and the connection between the two of them than, strictly speaking, just your body, the way that sometimes maybe we think exercise is. Let's go ahead and do some welcome to my homes, because welcome to my home. You guys, here's what it looks like. I've got the handy dandy gym boss set only because I don't want to be trying to count. I really want to be cueing you on finding your core, on remembering to breathe, on thinking about where your body is in space and time and what we're doing with it. So it's set for 40 seconds of work and 10 seconds of rest, which sounds hilarious to me and probably to you because we're moving so slowly. What do we need to rest from? It gives you a moment where maybe you don't feel your core for a couple of seconds to re-engage, to find it again, and to stand up straight and tall and notice where it is. We're going to get started with triangles. So we're going to stand with our feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. We're going to stand up straight and tall. There's your core. There it is. We're going to have one hand up overhead while the other one rolls right down the side of your leg, wherever you can get to. We're not really thinking, we're always thinking about excellent form. But we're thinking really specifically about having your core engaged is helping you with this movement today. You're letting your hip jut out. You're getting your hand down as low as you can. You're squeezing with your abs and obliques to stand back up. And you're breathing the whole time. When you can think about how to stand up straight, even when you're bending over to the side, you'll notice those are your core muscles. Now there's a couple of different ways. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're gonna do something. I'm calling them back step front flaps. We're gonna start with our hands directly in front of us. And as we step back, we're gonna flap our arms open. So your hands are about chest height, whatever feels comfortable for you, honestly. You'll notice that when you are standing up straight and tall, pulling in your core, just by standing up straight and tall, that you are a little bit better at balancing, that you can actually focus on squeezing from your shoulder blades to get your arms open as wide as possible, that you feel a little bit, not a lot, a little bit more steady on your feet. Now here's the thing, having excellent core strength does not automatically mean that you have excellent balance. I've been working on my core strength. I've been working on finding my core for a long time. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, speaking of rest, we're going to do IYW parade rest. We get to stand nice and still this time. Stand up straight and tall. We're going to make the letter I by having our hands up over our head. We're going to make the letter Y by widening them out a little bit. We're going to bring those elbows down. Oh, squeeze from your shoulder blades. Still standing up tall. We're going to reach down around behind our lower back. And then we're going to come back up for I and Y. Think about standing up straight and tall. Find your core while we're moving our arms. You can move your arms slower. In fact, I'd rather you move your arms slower to make sure that your core is continually engaged than trying to get anything else out of this exercise. Today's sole focus, even though we are moving different parts of our body, today's sole focus is to find your core. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and you can go ahead and rest. Coming up next, we're doing something I call rear step swings. So it's exactly what it sounds like. We're taking a step backwards, and then we're swinging out to one side and out to the other side, and then come back to center, stand up straight and tall, stepping back. We're swinging almost like we're going to come into a curtsy lunge, except we're not coming into a curtsy lunge, and then out to the other side and back. So you're stepping back and then swinging from a curtsy-ish position out wide, and then bringing it back. You'll notice that you are standing up straight and tall, helping you not lose your balance on this, and also engaging your glutes. That is actually a really important part of finding your core. When you stand up straight and tall, do you ever notice, in fact, let's do it right now. Do you ever notice when you stand up straight and tall that you kind of pulled your butt in a little bit? You tucked your tailbone a little bit underneath you. That is part of the work. Coming up next, we're doing wrist twists, and we're going to intentionally go through a range of motion here. We're literally just twisting our wrists. Your hands are out as wide as they can on a nice wide plane, but we're going to go up and down. And feel free to do whatever range of motion feels best for you. I mean, bearing in mind that some of you don't like to reach up over your head. That's totally okay. I should have mentioned that when we were doing the IYW parade rest. But you are always welcome to modify any of the exercises, especially because this isn't really the point of what we're doing today. Yeah, we're getting some great arm toning here. We're working with our middle of our back. We're doing all kinds of good work for our body, but mostly we're finding our core. When it beeps again, we're going to do something I call crunch pulses. So we're going to be about feet about hip width apart, and we're going to have our hands on our shoulders here. We're going to half squat, and we're going to crunch and pulse. Now this one's a little bit trickier to find your core. You'll notice your abs, certainly. You'll absolutely notice your abs engaging. But think about what it feels like to stand up straight and tall, even when you are completely crunched over. You should not feel any pressure or bearing down in your pelvic region. You should feel like even though you are crunching your body forward, that your rib cage is lifted up. That when you are pulling your belly button to your spine, that you are actually pulling it as though you are standing upright. And in fact, let's stand upright. Feel how your core is engaged. When it beeps again, we're going to do overhead to high knees. And you know what, guys? I think I forgot to tell you because I was so excited about finding your core. There's no repeat today. We're moving intentionally slowly. We're going through lots of different ranges of motion. We're thinking about how to engage our core in all planes of motion very slowly, very deliberately, very mind-body connection-y, but there's also no repeating of the exercises. So if there's something that you don't love, we don't have to do it again. Now the thing about, I started to mention this quite some time ago, the thing about cueing. I often tell you to pull your belly button to your spine just because that's the thing that makes the most sense to me. You'll hear from other fitness trainers things like squeeze your abs. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're going to do single leg touchdowns, which is not American football. We're literally reaching our opposite hand down towards our opposite foot and kind of flying the foot that goes back. I'm actually leaving that foot on the floor. I'm not trying to do a single leg squat today. I'm just thinking about what it feels like to stand up straight and tall, even when I am bent, crouching, reaching and only standing on one leg. It's very different, but it's always the same. Finding your core is one of the most subtle muscle movements that we do, honestly. And when a fitness trainer will tell you, pull in your belly button or squeeze your abs or brace your core, it is slightly bigger. Again, when we're lifting something heavy or moving quickly, we do need to be more mindful of keeping all of those muscles engaged. When it beeps again, we're going to do side bends. Feet about hip width apart. This one we are only bending to the side wherever your spine can take you, so you can really focus on standing up straight and tall. Your belly button is tucked underneath you just a little bit. Your hips aren't moving at all, which means that your glutes, your butt, is engaged in this. In fact, even the fronts of your thighs are engaged, keeping you standing up nice and straight and tall, even when you are bending over to the side. Again, you're gonna notice your abs and obliques doing, I call it external work. When I think about the core, I think about, there's just two layers of muscles. There's the external abs and obliques that we can see, some of us, we can see them on Zac Efron. How about that? But for us, we can feel both the squeezing of the exterior and the squeezing of the interior muscles. When it beeps again, we're doing 3-point crunches. So again, standing up straight and tall while crunching. Hands on your shoulders here, elbows pointed forward. You're gonna bring one knee up and crunch down to meet it. Ooh, lost my core there for a second, with both elbows. So that's the 3 points that are meeting in the middle. Again, thinking about standing up straight and tall. Your glutes are engaged even when you're only standing on one leg. Your abs, of course, are absolutely engaged because we're crunching forward, but we're also thinking about what it feels like to have your abs pulled up into your rib cage. And here's the thing, still about cueing. I prefer pulling your belly button to your spine because that really, for whatever reason, the first time I heard that, it made sense to my brain. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and coming up next, we are doing twisting high knees. So it's just what it sounds like. We're gonna bring up one high knee and we're gonna twist into it, trying to get our body around into it. Excuse me. So you are twisting from your abs and obliques, standing up straight and tall, of course, and bringing up one high knee at a time. Other fitness trainers will say something like zip up your rib cage or stand up straight and tall, which is what I'm cueing quite a bit today, because that one also gives that same uplifting type of verbal, mental cue. Whichever one sounds best to you. If at some point you have gotten so good at finding your core that you can simply squeeze your abs and know that that means finding your core. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing good mornings. Hands are going to be behind your head as much as possible. Elbows out as wide as possible. Feet about hip width apart. This is a deadlift, but because you've got your hands out nice and wide, you are not going to be able to get over as far. Even if on a regular deadlift you can get all the way over, engaging your upper back muscles like this really does change the nature of this motion. You're pushing backwards with your hips, standing up straight and tall, and then pulling forward with your hips as you're standing back up. Your glutes are driving this motion. Your butt is driving this motion, pushing back and pulling forward. If you feel like your elbows are trying to droop forward, re-engage your rear muscles as well. But again, today, not really the focus. I'd much rather have you find your core and think about your core than worry too much about your upper back. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and coming in next, we're gonna do turn-in lunges. Feet are almost uncomfortably wide, but we're standing up straight and tall. You're gonna pivot, one knee in, and get to wherever you can get to. Again, I'm not trying to come in very far. I'm not coming all the way down to the ground. I'm just thinking about pivoting, turning, using all of those inner and outer thigh muscles on this one while standing up straight and tall, engaging your core, finding that motion that helps you zip up your ribs, that helps you pull your belly button to your spine, that helps you squeeze your abs, however you want to think about it, and still be able to breathe and talk. That's one of the most important points, is that when you are squeezing your core, you're not stopping yourself from doing something else. And in fact, quite the opposite. Here's 10 seconds of rest, and coming up next, we're gonna do twisting Ys. Feet are actually really close together on this one. Hands are up and out, nice and wide. We're reaching our opposite hand towards Oh, good golly, our opposite butt, wherever you can reach. You could actually come down a little bit lower if you'd like to. You don't have to reach forward very far. If you'd like to simply reach around your hip or around your waist, that's okay too. We're just thinking about standing up straight and tall, squeezing our abs, finding our core in a way that makes sense for you. It is one of the quietest exercises in terms of you're not going to see visible results. When you have a strong core, it's not going to look like much of anything. When it beeps again, we're doing squats to high reach tiptoes. So I'm coming down into a squat, and then as we come up, we're going to come up on both tiptoes. So down into a squat while still standing up straight and tall. Do you notice how that lifted up your rib cage? And then, oh, here we are really straight and tall up onto tiptoes. Keeping your head up and your chest up while you're squatting is keeping your core engaged. I get comments sometimes about how, isn't squatting really terrible for your pelvic floor? It is if you are bearing down, if you are squeezing your abs and pushing down at the same time. But when you're thinking about standing up straight and tall to engage your abs, that helps you pull up your pelvic floor muscles too. They're related. I have an entire video. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing super slow letter Ks. Once again, hands up overhead. One hand and one foot coming out to the side at a time. Really thinking about good balance, thinking about standing up straight and tall. I have a video that I will reference for you in the show notes, which isn't show notes because I totally just thought I was doing a podcast right now, apparently. In the description box below, there will be a link. It's called Help for Your Pelvic Floor, or something very similar to that, where I do a really thorough description of where your pelvic floor is and how it's attached to your core muscles and how to find them both and still be able to breathe. There's some floor work in that particular workout, which is to me, it's a good way to help find your core, but standing up straight and tall also helps you find your core. Here's 10 seconds of rest, you guys. Coming up next, we're going to be up overhead again, so it feels kind of good to have your hands down. We're doing an overhead pendulum. We're simply swaying from side to side. It's essentially a side bend from side to side with our hands overhead. So swaying to one side, swaying to the other. Now, I know those of you with rough shoulders have really noticed lots of overhead work today. It really was on purpose. Having your hands up overhead helps you feel the upward motion of pulling in your core. When your core is engaged, your body really can't droop. It can't sag. That is the point. When you have pulled in your core, your spine is very stable in a nice upright position. Of course there's a curve to it. Your spine has a curve to it, and I mean that in a good way. Those of you with scoliosis, you know that your spine has a different kind of a curve to it also. But standing up as straight as you can. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing kicking welcome to my homes, which is just what it sounds like. We're doing a welcome to my home, but rather than tapping that foot back, we're kicking forward. It's like, welcome to my home, and now get out. But you notice, we're standing up straight and tall. We're lengthening out as we reach behind us. And even though we're pulling up one knee, we're keeping that tall status. Excellent, excellent job, my friends. You can move slower if you need to in order to really hang on to that core strength that you've got. When you can pull the work up, 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 up. We talk about this a lot when we're doing balance work. Pulling the work up, out of your toes, out of your calves, out of, not entirely out of your thighs. Your thighs are doing some of that work. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing peekaboo high knees. Hands are together with your elbows together, and then hands will be apart with your elbows as wide as they can, while we bring up one high knee at a time, standing up straight and tall. You notice that when you put your hands up, your ribs came up. When your ribs come up, that's your core being engaged. You don't have to squeeze hard. You just have to find those muscles that help you stand up. My friends, you were doing such a good job, and I'm going to tell you right now, we've only got a couple more exercises, and I already know that even if you have really struggled mentally to find your core and find your balance and do this work, and even if you've noticed, because your core is already kind of strong, you've noticed that there's plenty of other work that we've been doing today. Here's 10 seconds of rest. Coming up next, we're doing bent over skiing arms. So we're coming into a bent over position, and we're having our hands up and then all the way back. So up in front of us, biceps next to your ears, and then all the way back, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze from those shoulder blades. And yet, while we are bent over, notice that you can still stand up straight and tall. Notice that you can still pull your ribs up. You can still zip up your rib cage to engage your core. If you're having trouble with it, stand back up. And then come back down into it. My friends, anytime you need to engage your core, all you have to do is stand up straight and tall and find those muscles again. Here's what I was going to tell you though. I know that my friends who are losing weight right now are going to be like, oh, okay, well, after this workout, here's 10 seconds of rest, I'm just going to go do some cardio to make sure I burn some calories. Coming up next, we're doing heel touch jacks. Hands are going to be up overhead doing jumping jacks. As they come down, we're bringing up one high knee. I call them heel touch as though you're going to actually touch your heel. Are you going to touch your heel? I'm not even touching mine. I'm coming close to my ankles, maybe. I think it's never about touching something specific, even though I use that in the description and sometimes even in the name. It's much more about the motion of standing up straight, finding your core, bringing up that one high knee, engaging all the muscles in your torso rather than just in your foot and your lower leg to find your balance, find your core. My friends, finding your core is better for your weight loss. Coming up next, we're doing compass points. So this is the one, again, this is a side bend. Hips are super, 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 super stable. We're gonna bend forward, but we're not really bending forward. We're only going to wherever your spine can take you forward, wherever your spine can take you sideways, wherever your spine can take you backwards without pushing your hips forward, and wherever your spine can take you the other direction. So forward, side, backward, side. It's a very small motion, and this is what I'm going to tell you about the whole day, because this is our, well, it's our last exercise, but of course there's one more because it's the finisher. Because I always do that. Here's the thing about this finding your core work. It is better for your weight loss than any cardio you could ever do. It is better for your weight loss than any strength work you could ever do. It is better for your weight loss and better for your health than any other exercise ever. Here's our finisher. We're doing super slow sprinters. I'm gonna start with my left leg on the ground. We're gonna crunch our opposite elbow. We're gonna stand up straight and tall. We're gonna crunch our opposite elbow towards our opposite knee, and then we're gonna extend that leg behind you and that arm on the same side in front of you. Crunch it together, extend it all the way out, bringing that work up into your abs, up into your core by standing up straight and tall. Even when you are in a bent over and even crunched position, you can feel that work coming up, 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 up towards your ribs. Awesome job, my friends. When you find your core, every other exercise that you do in the world will be performed with more strength, more stamina, more power, more everything. Here we're going to go on the other side. Then if you don't have your core, when you do not know where your core is, when you are not able to find your core, you are at risk of injuring yourself. And frankly, all of the power is kind of getting lost in the shuffle in the middle of your body. When your core is solid and strong and you can really stand up straight and tall, even from a crunched position, even from a sideways position, even from any kind of position in the world, you are getting more power into your big muscles that can help you change your metabolism, get stronger, strengthen your bones, do all of the health and fitness work that we want from a workout. My friends, the next time it beeps is the last time that it's going to beep. Let's stand up straight and tall. How good did that feel to find your core today? I know it wasn't sweaty. Let's go ahead and do some arm circles. Anyways, we're still going to cool it down. I'm still going to point you in the direction of the longer cool down so that you can get 6 more minutes of walking and moving today, because I know, I see you. I know that you want to do more, but my friends, this work done regularly, done consistently, done thoughtfully, thinking about finding your core is the best work that you can do. So proud of you. Let's open it up while we're standing up straight and tall. And then we're going to close it up and give yourself a hug and a pat on your sweaty, nope, not sweaty, back. I know it wasn't sweaty work today, but maybe, Okay, maybe it was a little bit mentally sweaty, right? Because that was a lot of thinking. But now that you have found your core, you will be able to engage it every time we work out together. I'm so proud of you. Don't do more. Make sure that you pay attention to the 5 things that we do every day, not just this one thing that your brain offers you as the most important. Make sure that you click that subscribe button before you go, and I'll see you tomorrow.